Hello and welcome to episode 93 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Joining me on today's episode is an incredible actress, someone that captured my eye when I watched the series Lost back, oh my god, it was like 2006 I think, which is now, god, I feel really old. Also in an amazing series Goliath alongside Billy Bob Thornton, and most recently in Deep Blue Sea. I'm joined today by Tania Raymonde. This is a beautiful actress that has an amazing career ahead of her. She's already been in some absolutely amazing roles, got to work alongside some absolute greats like Dennis Hopper. I mean, let's just be honest, he is an absolute legend. Billy Bob Thornton for me is one of the best guys out there, and the list goes on. But in true typical fashion, before you get to hear that interview, I like to talk about the last episode. So I was joined by Keith Thomas. We got to talk things all horror. His most recent work as a director in The Vigil, and also the upcoming remake of Stephen King's Firestarter. And do you know what? This was one of my favourite interviews. From the moment we started talking, we hit it off, and it's great to see all the great feedback that came through online. But let's talk about today. This is someone else that from the start I knew it was going to turn out gold. An absolutely amazing guest and lovely from start to finish. So let's hear it now. Here's my interview with me and Tania Raymonde. Thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast. I really appreciate your time.
It's just you. So who's me? I'm me and you're Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Mark and Me, but today you're me.
I understand. Whoa, this is getting really existential really fast.
What I wanted to do is, for the listeners out there, take it right back to the start. I wanted to know what it was that made you want to be an actor at such a young age.
Oh, that's a good question. I always loved stories and storytelling. Like I was kind of a very good sort of storyteller as a little kid and made up all these fantasies and liked to kind of, I guess, perform in that way, but I never understood what acting was. And then I guess because I liked reading and I liked movies in a sense. I watched a lot of really great movies with my dad very, very early on, very young, and he had really good taste in film. And all those things combined, me being sort of a little bit of a nerd and being able to memorize things very well, sort of led me to start acting, I suppose. But it was never a conscious choice. It just sort of happened, and then I enjoyed it, and it continued. But as a kid, I didn't have a concept of what acting was, so I didn't want to be an actress or be a movie star or anything like that. It sort of just came to be eventually.
And what were some of those films that you watched with your dad at a young age that made you fall in love with film and kind of getting excited to watch films with him?
Oh man, my dad. I mean, I probably watched Chinatown for the first time with my dad. I must have been like 10.
Wow.
Or something. And that was probably that's my earliest memory. Chinatown, Jaws. What else did I see really young that's almost borderline inappropriate? A lot of Mike Leigh movies. He was a big Mike Leigh fan. I love Mike Leigh. I think I was like 12 when I watched The Crying Game. We watched all of the, Deer Hunter, all of Scorsese and Coppola's movies. A lot of Jim Jarmusch stuff, like Strangers in Paradise. I was really young too. So I, inevitably, of course, the first few movies I ever watched with my dad are now my favorite movies that I've probably seen now hundreds of times. And, I'm probably not as well versed in film as most of my actor friends are, or most people are. Really, I tend to obsessively watch the same thing. But yeah, I credit him definitely for letting me watch things that weren't just kids' movies. And I guess that's sort of what sparked my interest, just from a storytelling point of view.
Jaws is my favourite film of all time, and I wish I watched it when I was 10. That would have been incredible.
Yeah, it gave me a very tough skin. Like it made it so that there was nothing that really scared me very much as I got older, except for The Exorcist. That is still the only movie that terrifies me. And as a kid, that was not there. My dad he should not have shown me that. I should not have been able to watch it that young. I remember sitting inches away from the TV watching it for the first time. And about 20 minutes in, I was crying. I couldn't do it anymore. So it was very mean of him. But besides that, Yeah, Jaws is a masterpiece.
And obviously, people know you from stuff like Malcolm in the Middle, but obviously, one of my favourite TV series was Lost, and I used to love watching it, then meeting up with my friends and going online and reading different theories, which I think's
Yeah.
you don't have that anymore in TV as much because there's spoilers and people are putting stuff on Twitter all the time, and you're getting loads of trailers. But to be involved with J.J. Abrams and involved in Lost, it must have been one of those highlights of your whole career.
Yes, definitely. And it's funny when I watch some of it now, it seems like it was so ahead of its time. And the fact that it was just on network TV and it was on the old fashioned TV schedule, like 20. I mean, we shot something like 23 episodes a year of hour-long TV that was on every week. I mean, that seems unfathomable now. And that was before streaming existed, before binging existed, all those things. And this was a show that like people would wait for every week. And to be able to make such I mean, we're making a movie a week essentially.
Yeah.
And they did it for 6 years. It's incredible. So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't think I had like a good understanding, a grasp of what the show was or how big the show was when I first started. And, there's so much secrecy on that show that often when new characters would appear, we wouldn't really know who we were or what we would become until the story developed. So because we were in the dark, it was just kind of you had to be very present. It was like in the present moment, do this scene, and I don't know what this means, but we'll see next week,
And one of my favourite actors of all time is Dennis Hopper. The fact that you got to film with him, how was that? Because he for me is an absolute legend and deserves that title.
Oh, wow. I agree completely. And that goes back to watching these movies like with my father that, it was a huge honor. And I think I worked with him on Crash. I think he passed away like shortly after they finished that series, like maybe a year or so after that, or maybe less. Again, it's just one of those, I look back on it now and I'm like, I can't even believe that happened. He was so kind and so nice. And to me, one of the coolest film legends of all time. And I remember sitting outside with him in between scenes, and he was talking about gardening, and like he was just this really nice, quote unquote, old man, and you would never think in a million years fucking Dennis Hopper, I can't explain it except that I feel very lucky that I was able to work with him. It's crazy. It's still crazy.
I'm extremely jealous. I would have just loved to have met him and shook his hand and just said thank you for what you've done, because he is just one of the best out there.
Also the coolest cat ever. I mean,
yeah.
Talk about a humble person. Like just, I would, crazy. I remember him on set also once, and he was telling stories about like running around town with Nicholson and Warren Beatty, and I just hearing these stories from Hopper was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking about these people, these other legends, that don't even seem real. It was incredible. Very kind, gentle person. Just awesome. So nice to me.
And people that are listening right now will also know you for being alongside Billy Bob Thornton, and we're talking about cool people in Goliath. Now, is he as is he as cool as he looks on screen? Is he as funny as you want him to be? They say never meet your heroes, but I'm sure if I could sit and have a beer with him, it would be the best.
I guarantee you, if you sat and had a beer with him, it would be the best. He's like, talk about nice and generous. Like Billy, I mean, I've never met anyone with less pretension in my entire life. Billy will talk to anybody on set. People walk by and ask for pictures when they're filming and stuff, and he'll like sit down and talk to them for like an hour. He's truly like has no ego. This person, and I've never had more fun acting with anyone my entire life. He has a way of making you feel comfortable like no other actor I've performed with. I would just work with Billy for the rest of my life if I could, in every project until the end of time. I think he's he's just an awesome person. He's like the nicest guy ever, and beyond that, so interesting to watch, and I learned so much from working with him. I mean, working on Goliath these last couple of years have been the best learning experience from an acting point of view that I've ever had. He is a fucking master at what he does, and just to be able to watch him and learn from him and work with him in scenes is like, it's an unparalleled experience. I've never had anything like that before. Yeah, Goliath is Billy's a whole other. He's also, I should not swear. He's a very funny person.
You can swear as much as you want on this podcast. Anyone can say what they want, so don't worry about that. And
Thank you.
so if I ever meet him, I'm going to say to him, look, Tania said you're absolutely fucking awesome and you're the coolest, most grounded person. So if I can do a podcast, you should say yes, because Tania said you're very nice.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That's right. Tell him that, exactly.
And at the moment, obviously, we're speaking because you're promoting your latest film, Deep Blue Sea 3, the third part in this trilogy, and maybe there'll be more, who knows. But how did this part come about for you?
This was, they sent me the script. This was just a script sent like any other.
Yeah.
And obviously I recognized the title because I said, oh my God, I love Deep Blue Sea. I remember seeing this in the theaters. This movie's awesome. And I'm a big fan of like kind of large-scale, epic, entertaining Hollywood movies. I always have been. And so yeah, I was excited to read the script because I was a big fan of number one. And I loved the story. It touched me, and I felt like it was written with a certain directness and honesty and earnestness that I thought was really nice. There was no cynicism in it. It was like a straightforward horror action movie with a lot of heart. And I really loved Emma's. She had a lot of. There was something about Emma that I found very genuine, and I really liked her, and I could kind of hear myself in her, and all of that. I mean, it could have been about dinosaurs. It could have been about killer cobras. It didn't really matter to me, the shark thing. To me, the story in and of itself was compelling enough. So, yeah, that's how it kind of came about.
And what was it like on set? Because obviously there's a lot of CGI work with this. You've not got obviously a real kind of shark that big. Was it a new experience working with this new technology and stuff that's kind of advanced now? Since obviously back in the days of Lost and Crash, times have changed. There's probably a lot more green screen work.
Funnily enough, there wasn't. Well, we had. We weren't. There was a lot of a huge portion of this movie takes place underwater. So the first thing that we did, there was like some very extensive diving training and sort of certifying diving certification before we started working. And then we would work with we have underwater fight sequences. We have a ton of diving and swimming. So we worked on all of that before, and that was a big part of our training to get us just prepared for the movie to begin with. So all of that was new because I'd never done any of that before. And so all those experiences were brand new ones. So I had nothing to compare it to. Kind of jumped in the water head first, literally. And so that combined with, we didn't have too much green screen. Believe it or not, all the underwater stuff, for the most part, either we were acting with nothing.
Yeah.
So just kind of imagining with our minds where the sharks would be. And then for the more elaborate ones, they would use like a tennis ball on a stick that I'd have to fight with, stuff like that. So it was all in my imagination, and it was all about us conjuring whatever scariest freaking shark we could think of while we were acting, because we never saw anything. And then a couple of times, for little bits here and there, they would use some like puppetry, sort of prosthetic shark heads and things like that. But very rarely. Mostly, we were just bobbing around in the water by ourselves, imagining a shark chasing us. That was pretty much what we did.
And was it quite hardcore prepping for this film and doing all the diving and all the actual physical work? It must have been quite a strain.
It was a lot, and but I'm grateful for it. I think it was all done in preparation. Thankfully, we had enough time to work on our skills beforehand, because once we started shooting, it went very quickly, and it was a very fast shoot. And so if we weren't ready by the time we got started, we would never be ready. And we had very little time, in essence, to do it, that we had to be prepared. So we had to get certified. We had to understand. There's a lot of just technical kind of challenges involved in diving in the first place and regulating tanks and learning how to use a full face mask, understanding what choreography feels like underwater. There's the challenge of being able to understand notes or take direction when you're underwater is very difficult. You can't communicate with anyone once you dive down to about 40 feet, which is where we did a lot of our diving sequences when they were filming with underwater cameras. There was no way to communicate with the surface, so everything was about hand signals and sort of visual cues with the underwater cameramen. So actually, we became very close with the underwater crew because it was almost like a dance, like a choreography. We had to kind of understand what they were telling us based purely on instinct or hand signals, because you can't talk underwater and you can't hear anything because you have a regulator on your face and it's super loud with all the bubbles and stuff. So it was a completely new way of acting. It was almost like mime or something is what it felt like.
And a lot of people that listen to this podcast are people that want to make film or become an actress. What advice do you give to people that are wanting to get a name for themselves in the industry when it's quite a hard industry to get into?
Yeah. It's funny because I wonder if I'd started now, what I would do, because things were so different when I started. YouTube didn't exist and you couldn't really make your own stuff, and it was impossible to get anybody to see your things. But I mean, I feel like, and now with all these different platforms, like as an actor, you're unique because you're you. So nobody else is made exactly like you, and that means that you probably have an interesting story to tell, just because nobody else has the same one. And I figured if I was doing it now and starting, I'd probably try to, I don't know, write some kind of thing based on my life and film it myself and put it on YouTube with my friends or something like that. That's probably what I would do if I were starting out now, because I think we have such an opportunity now with the internet that you can sort of create your own material. Essentially, you can do whatever you want. You can shoot it on your iPhone. So I guess that would be my advice. It's kind of an exciting time. It's very different than it used to be. So in that sense, I think also people are much more open to different kinds of stories and people who don't look the same and different backgrounds and ethnicities and all these things that were a little less prevalent or accepted back then. When I started, when I was 10, things were a little more firmly rooted in the kind of old-fashioned, typical Hollywood stereotypes, so to speak. So, the fact that now we're just generally speaking, and in entertainment, so much more open-minded, I think we're ready for all sorts of different kinds of stories from people we haven't heard before. So it's almost like, YouTube's sort of given a voice. And I think as a performer, even just starting out, that's huge. You can use that. So I guess that'd be my advice.
And with the way that the world is at the moment, obviously with the COVID-19, a lot of people are putting films on hold and stuff, but how's the future looking for you? Have you got any projects lined up for the next sort of year or two, or is everything kind of on hold while kind of the studios are working out what to do next?
I guess everyone's trying to figure out how we're going to proceed just from a safety point of view, and it's going to be a very different environment coming back to work. I mean, I keep thinking how weird it's going to be and how different, and the fact that, it seems like it's going to be, you're going to have to maintain social distance. When you're on set, you're going to wear a mask. Certain groups of people, depending on what they're doing, like certain parts of the crew won't be able to talk to other parts or will have to keep their distance. And actors are going to be in their own pod, and everything's going to feel very sort of separate, which is so strange because when you work on a movie, one of the greatest parts about it is that it's a communal effort, and you really have a sense of like symbiosis with every department and every person on set, and that's why it's so fun, because it's not a lonely exercise. You're all doing this together. So I really wonder how that's going to feel. But we're going to continue shooting Goliath as soon as everyone's able to. So we do have the rest of the season to shoot quite a bit. So that's what I'll get back to right away. And then the future, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'd love to make another shark movie, but, maybe in the summer this time, because it was really cool.
And my final question is, everyone that comes on the podcast chooses the piece of music that we do as the outro on the episode. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there a piece of music or a song by an artist that you would love to be personal to you to close this episode?
Oh, man, that is so hard. Let me think. Oh, shit.
Go from the gut. Go from the first thing that comes into your head, because otherwise you'll be thinking about it for hours.
Okay, Fuck the Police by NWA.
Perfect. We'll do that. Especially as the podcast we can swear on here, so we might as well take advantage of it and get a song that we can use. Perfect. Well, I think that's 20 minutes up, so I want to thank you for your time, Tania. I hope you have a great rest of the day and doing press and stuff, and it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
Oh, you're so nice. All right, bye-bye.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and Tania Raymonde. Like I said at the start, one of those guests that I wish I could talk to for absolutely hours. We hit it off straight away and I knew the energy was going to be high. It was just great, and it's just one of those interviews I just didn't want to end, and I hope you guys that are listening back at home loved it too. As you could hear, she was promoting her most recent film, Deep Blue Sea Free, and that's out now everywhere, and I urge you to go and check it out. I really hope you enjoyed the interview as much as me, and again, it's someone that I really hope I can get back on the podcast in the next couple of years so we can carry on talking more and more. And also, let's be honest, she loved Jaws, so instantly I'm going to love her. As fans of Mark and me, guys, please keep the support coming. I'm seeing loads more people following me on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. If you're new to Mark and me, hey, just jump on markandme.com. On there, there's the links to all the social media channels I've just mentioned. Drop me an email. Do what you want, but if you can reach out and get in contact, I always promise to reply to everybody. It's a really good month at the moment on Patreon, but oh my god, September and October's prizes, I've took it to the next level. I really do appreciate all the support the podcast gets, but it needs more and more to keep on going. I'm reaching out to new platforms, trying to get more guests from different walks of life, but it means I need support. So if you jump on Mark and Me, there is an actual link on there to my Patreon page. You can sign up there, and I've said this time and time again, for as little as about £1 a month. You can't even buy a coffee in Starbucks for that. So to know you're going to get at least 4 episodes of that per month, an opportunity to win loads of prizes, interviews before anybody else, and I'm going to step it up. There's going to be a lot more episodes coming. If you can jump on there and spend just a couple of quid a month to support the podcast, it makes a huge difference. I don't pay myself, and all the money goes right back into the podcast so I can do more and more episodes, which means more and more interviews for you guys out there. I really hope you've all enjoyed today's episode, and as always, I'll be back in a few days with a brand new episode. Go and check out Deep Blue Sea Free. Go and let Tania know you've listened to the episode on Instagram. Tag her in. Do what you need to do and stay safe. And I'll be back in a few days' time. Take care, everyone.
Right about now, NWA court is in full effect. Judge Dre residing. In the case of NWA versus the police department, prosecuting attorneys are MC Ren, Ice Cube, and Easy motherfucking E. Order. Ice Cube, take the motherfucking stand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help your black ass? You goddamn right. But won't you tell everybody what the fuck you gotta say? Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown. And not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Fuck that shit cause I ain't the one for a punk motherfucker with a badge and a gun to be beaten on and thrown in jail. We can go toe to toe in the middle of a sale. Fucking with me cause I'm a teenager with a little bit of gold and a pager. Searching my car, looking for the product, thinking every nigga is selling narcotics. You rather see me in the pen than me and Lorenzo rolling in a benzo. Be the police out of shape, and when I finish, bring the yellow tape to tape off the scene of the slaughter. Still getting swole up bread and water. I don't know if they fags or what. Search a nigga down and grabbing his nuts, and on the other hand, without a gun they can't get none. But don't let it be a black and a white one, cause they'll slam you down to the street top. Black police showing out for the white cop. Ice Cube will swarm on any motherfucker in a blue uniform. Just cause I'm from the CPT, punk police are afraid of me, huh? A young nigga on the warpath, and when I finish, it's gonna be a bloodbath of cops dying in LA. Yo, Dre, I got something to say. about this fucked up incident. Fuck the police and Ren said it with authority. Because the niggas on the street is a majority of gang. It's with whoever I'm stepping. And a motherfucking weapon is kept in a stash spot for the so-called law. Wishing Ren was a nigga that they never saw. Lights start flashing behind me, but they're scared of a nigga, so they mace me to blind me. But that shit don't work, I just laugh, because it gives them a hint not to step in my path. For police, I'm saying fuck you, punk. Read my rights and shit, it's all junk. Pulling out a silly club, so you stand with a fake ass badge and a gun in your hand. But take off the gun so you can see what's up, and we'll go at it, punk, and I'ma fuck you up. Make you think I'ma kick your ass, but drop your gat, and Red's gonna blast. I'm sneaky as fuck when it comes to crime, but I'ma smoke them now and not next time. Smoke any motherfucker that sweats me, any asshole that threatens me. I'm a sniper with a hell of a scope, taking out a cop or two. They can't cope with me. The motherfucking villain that's mad with potential to get bad as fuck, so I'ma turn it around. Put in my clip, yo, and this is the sound. Yeah, something like that, but it all depends on the size of the gap. Taking out a police would make my day, but a nigga like Ren don't give a fuck to say.
Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police.
Yeah, man, what you need?
Police, open up. We have a warrant for Easy's arrest. Get down and put your hands where I see him. What the fuck? Get out there, man. What did I do? Just shut the fuck up and get your motherfucking ass on the floor. But I didn't do shit. Man, just shut the fuck up.
Easy E, won't you step up to the stand and tell the jury how you feel about this bullshit?
I'm tired of the motherfucking jacking. Sweating my gang while I'm chilling in the shack and shining the light in my face, and for what? Maybe it's because I kick so much, but I kick ass. Or maybe because I blast on a stupid ass nigga when I'm playing with the trigger of an Uzi or an AK. Cause the police always got something stupid to say. They put out my picture with silence, cause my identity by itself causes violence or E with the criminal behavior. Yeah, I'm a gangster, but still I got flavor. Without a gun and a badge, what do you got? A sucker in a uniform waiting to get shot by me or another nigga. And with a gat, it don't matter if he's smaller or bigger. And as y'all know, E's here the rule. Whenever